Meet 17-year-old Carlos Hallowell. He just told detectives he walked into his mother's bedroom and found her axe. Wahaksha, she was sleeping. Okay, Mom and I got back from the funeral, grabbed some lunch and pie. And the last time I saw her was around 2:30 or 3. We both headed to our own rooms for a nap, which is just our usual routine. Then a few hours later when, I'm not sure, I hear barking on my side of the house, which felt totally off. The dogs are supposed to be in their fenced area. So I went to check the front door. Mom's door was shut like always, though she does let the dogs out to pee sometimes while she's napping. But the front door was hanging wide open. I figured she just forgot to close it. I looked out and saw the 2 green gates wide open too. I went looking for the dogs around the property, but I couldn't find them. I went to wake Mom up to help me look, and that's when I found her. So when you guys take your naps, you don't even talk to each other. No, that's normal for us. We both just like having our own space during the day. We bicker if we spend too much time together, so we learn to just give each other room. We get along fine that way. Did you guys have any drama or arguments today? No, it was a totally normal day. Actually, it was great. We had pie. That was a nice treat when you clash with that sit usually now. Just petty stuff, school, finding a job, or me seeing my girlfriend too much. Little things like that. Not huge blow-ups, just some back and forth. When was the last time you and your mom really got into it? A while ago. I couldn't even solid tell you. Since I moved back and you moved out. Yeah, for a bit. My mom was really fed up because I wasn't focused on school and stuff. She told me if I didn't get my act together, I'd have to find another place to live until I grew up. So I eventually did, in a murder case. D10's closest to the victim and work outward. They hunt for a motive, and Carlos just handed them one. So you're saying things were actually getting better? Yes, definitely. Mom and I always had this tight bond. People didn't really get us, but we've been through a lot. I do think through her. I'm just lost. Everything was weird. The doors were open, but her bedroom door was still shut, and when I opened it, what do you mean door ended? The front door and the gates were just wide open. Mom, it's never supposed to be like that. So what exactly you see when you walked into your mom's room? Our axe was buried in her side, and I could still hear her gasping for air. You mentioned this right, your friends didn't understand it. What do you mean? Well, the way we showed affections was just weird to some of my friends. It was just how we interacted. We could days without talking, and then suddenly be like, yo, you want to catch a movie? And then we'd just go. That was just our vibe. But what do you mean by vibe? Every now and then we'd say love yeah, or just give a fist bump. My friends would be like, oh, I tell my mom allure every night. We hung lag out constantly. We weren't like that. We were both just independent people. She wanted her space. I wanted mine. We felt like in. Whenever we wanted to hang out, we did. It worked. It's been great for 13 years. Nothing, not right. I don't see why your friends thought that was strange. Well, they just didn't think it was real affection, or whatever. I don't know. With the family dynamic out of the way, detectives finally addressed the elephant in the room, who took out Carlos's amour, and what is the motive? Let's dive into your mom's story. Yeah, look, we both know this wasn't some freak accident, right? No way. Somebody buried an axe in her. You did do it. I have zero clue be capable of that. My mom's whole circle was just the church crowd. Those are the only people I ever saw her with. She did beef with anyone. Not that I saw. She mostly kept to herself. You guys are pretty isolated out there in the... Yeah, we're out in the boonies, totally secluded. We just stay in our own lane. We put up signs because of prowlers and weird sounds at night. So, she just keeps the place locked down for safety. Got it? So, no bad blood with anyone. No recent anyone. Not that I know of. She kept her business private, even from me, any boyfriends or the guys in the gigses, or nothing I heard about. If she was seeing someone, she kept it quiet. When was the last time she even had a guy over at the house? Like ever? Never. At least not since I moved who would this and do this. I don't have enemies. I got along with everyone. So did my mom. The whole church community knew us. Everyone was cool. Walk the finer. What was your first move? Man, I was paralyzed at first, but then I rushed over and gave her a nudge. I could hear her wheezing and just lost it, screaming for her. So you're telling me you have no idea? Nobody. No, I See, that's the thing. The front gate was shut tight, right? But it wasn't locked. It's just simple hooks. You can flip those open in 2 seconds. I just don't get why I didn't hear anything. Usually, the dogs go nuts at the slightest sound, but they didn't even bark. And if they did make noise, I was probably dead to the world sleeping. So, back doors secure, front gates shut, back gates shut. After listening to Carlos's version of the story, the detectives aren't buying the random intruder theory. For the first time in the room, they start turning the heat up on Carlos. Carlos, how often do you think a total stranger just wanders into a house and kills someone during a nap? A dope nap. Elope, you're not implying I did this. She adopted me when I was 4. She's been my mother, the one person always by my side. What I'm trying to say is that it's incredibly rare for a stranger to be involved. Okay, that almost never happens. What I'm getting at is that 99.9% of the time, a close friend, or you don't know anyone, or a lover. Someone in the inner circle. Well, you got real defensive real fast when you thought I was accusing you. Yeah, because that was the cops during doing that dep safe case. So, I'm a little on edge. That's not the only time you've dealt with the law, though. No, definitely no. They've been out to the property a bunch for fights between me and my mom. But, right, and not that long ago, you guys had a domestic dispute, and the cops showed up. A dumb closet. Oh no, Mom. And I handled that. It just got way out of hand, and she overreacted. I lost my cool once things seemed settled. Right, was that before you moved out, or after? Before. I was failing school and we got into it. It was some shoving back and forth, stuff like that. It never turned into a rare fights. It was just get out of my face over and over, just a lot of screaming matches that went nowhere. The detective is about to pull a bluff, telling Carlos the neighbors heard them fighting earlier that afternoon. So, what were you two screaming about today? We weren't fighting today. Word on the street is the neighbors caught you two screaming at each other today. Screaming out. What? No clue what they're talking about. I am the one asking you. Which neighbors said that? Take a wild guess. Look, we weren't even fighting today. Everything was solid between us. Now to our teen there thou. Long. Just a quiet morning together. Then we hit the funeral. Plenty of people saw us there, viewed there. We were good then, and we were good back home. So the folk next door say you guys, nice were getting rowdy. Give me a reason. Rowdy? No way. We were calm as can be. She just came in and woke me up this morning. What about later? Nothing. We'd zero yelling. We just went to sleep and that was that. Today was perfectly fine, like nothing happened. Look, somebody had to break in and do that to her hair. Forgive me, how it looks. But think about it. If I even crack a door, those dogs of ours start yapping like crazy. They go nuts, the way something past. Then that fast with the door wide open. I don't have the answers. You guys are the detectives, right? Isn't this your job to solve? The side door left open. The gate was unlatched. The dogs are loose and the front door is wide open. I am completely lost. I want to know how this happened just as much as you do. I'm in the dark. It eats at me because my dogs were let out. They won't bark or do anything because they just bolt. The second they see that gate open, they re-gone. They run off immediately because they're usually cooped up in there. It's their only chance to escape. I don't know what you're fishing for, but I'd never lay a finger on my own mother. Sure, we'd scrap and gather each of the skin from time to time. We'd go back and forth, fighting then making up, but I'd never do that. She's my mom, man. She's had me since I was age 4. We've been together forever. If you're implying I did this, that's a low blow. You're putting on a hell of a performance right now. A real show. A show. You think this is an act? How is this an act? I vividly remember our little sit-downs from back when all this started. You remember that? Yeah. I was the one running the major crimes unit back then. Got it? And I remember the captain saying your whole vibe felt straight up sociopathic. Sociopathic? That's exactly the vibe you're giving me now. You're just faking like you're actually torn up. Faking? How am I faking? That was my mother. For God's sake. Your mother, right? Yeah, faking, because you don't actually feel things the way normal people do. So I'm not normal. Yeah, that's the sociopath's struggle. but you sure are trying to play the part. So now just gonna call me a sociopath. Seriously. Yep, this is the routine. I've been reading you this whole time. It's 100%. You're missing no basic human feelings. Kid, judge me all you want, but I do have feelings. I loved my mother with everything I had. Go ahead and ask anyone in this town. They'll tell you the same thing. You think people who love you don't do the unthinkable? It happens. It's a daily occurrence. It's almost always someone close to the victim. Look, I would never ask anybody around here. Me and my mom were tight. She would never cross that line. And I would never ever hurt her. Call me a psycho or whatever you want. Sorry for losing it, but please just talk to people, ask around. Everyone not capable of something like that. Carlos maintains the position that things between him and his mother never turned violent, but then the lead throws turd a ball. Nasty blow-up from a few years back. Carlos had swung on his own mother, and instead of calling the cops, she just kicked him to the curb. Look, family drama is a dime a dozen, sure, fine, so it went down, it happened. I am not trying to get all caught up in the details here. I am just saying it happened, it's a facting. She didn't want me locked up. She just wanted me gone. That was that. Until I eventually moved back. We were cool. My buddies Stephanie and Damien actually caught an attitude because I chose to head it patchings up. And we did. I moved back in. But you haven't even been there that long. Can you see why we're looking at? Look, I get it. But seriously. You said you'd talk to everyone. Do it. Ask. Please. Just talk to people. They'll tell you straight. I would never lay a hand on my mom like that. We're talking to everyone. We're checking every lead. And you're right in the middle of it. That's fine. Totally fine. And I am telling you for a fact, I'd never hurt her. Look, man, I've been on the force for 20 potters. For partners than nearly 20, usually, the first move everyone makes is to spin a tale or lie. Okay, I hear you, I didn't do this, sure. She wasn't always a saint, but I'd never take it that far. Never old incident. That was just me protecting myself. She swung her keys, caught me in the eye with a hook, so I just shoved her down, but I'd never go this far. So, is this a regular thing or just some freak occurrence? Nah, it's gone down a bunch of times. It's honestly just exhausting. She gets real nasty with her words. We put on this happy family act, because that's the vibe. I usually just brush it off. I try to just block it out. She was toxic and sometimes got physical, but I'd never go to this extreme. I'd never the fought trash she put me through. She was still my mom. I've heard that line 1,000 times. Love doesn't just vanish. One bad split-second choice, right? That doesn't mean you stopped loving her. No, I would never hurt my mother like this. No way. The worst it got was when her wrist snapped. And I felt like garbage after that. And that was an accident, right? So you've got years and years of this history. Man, but I'd never do this. Never. I can't even fathom hurting her that way. Even with all our baggage, I couldn't do it. She's all the family I've got left. I've nobody else. The dad spends 2 hours grilling him. He tries to play the same card, claiming he was also abused as a kid. He is fishing for a connection, hoping Carlos will finally crack and admit he killed her. But after detective is still staring at a wall, no confession, no nothing. Carlos walks for now, but the heat stays on. Days later, they haul him back to the station for round 2. They found hard evidence, proofs that proves Carlos is a liar. Any cameras around the place at all, even inside, not that I can think of. My mom. Not my mom. She mentioned having one, but I went back and checked. You guys already tore the place apart, and I still didn't see a thing. The only one I knew about was already gone. We have a surveillance sign, and there used to be cameras, but the weather wrecked them all. So, we just kept the dummy lights that look like cameras. They were tucked away in the trees and stuff. Mom, always we pseudo-keyed out that. What about inside the house? I know, that's you don't and no, honestly. No, whatever she had going on, that car was her business. What Carlos is that Dallas hit a lake right by his house. They fished out his mom's phone and 3 cameras from the muck. Okay, and her phone, you haven't seen it? No, I haven't seen her phone. I definitely remember that. I can't say for sure if I noticed her Her phone wasn't in its usual spot. When I stepped into the room, snorting right there in plain sight. Every gadget she owns stays on that one tiny table. So, the axe, where did that come from? Probably the shed. Where do you guys usually keep it? It was either in the garage or the shed. Pretty sure it stayed in the shed this time around. You're aware we've got a dive team, right? We spent the whole day scouring that lake behind the house. Got it? So, you actually think you guys found out something useful down there? Who knows? Maybe nothing. Nothing worth mentioning. Anyway, right? Probably just some old rusty fishing gear. That's what's usually at the bottom of these things. And you really believe you're going to find something important in there? Look, I need you to be straight with me if I'm gonna help. I hear what you re-saying. The lead investigator is handed a container holding the cameras and the cell phone pulled from a smoky depth as thick. View to you. Take a real good look at it. I know it's a total wreck. Is that the camera from outside? The one that was hanging up? Yeah, porta. Does that look right to you? No way, sir. Remember those small indoor cameras you mentioned? This one was recovered right from inside here, right? Yeah, that's one that's aimed at the window. So, take a guess how many we pulled up. How many do you honestly think we managed to find? One. No, there was only supposed to be one inside the house. Wrong, you know damn well there's another one. No, sir. I only knew about one. And guess what? Do you think was waiting for us at the bottom of that lake? I don't. Look, I'm just trying to figure things out here. Just trying to help you out. Sure, well, clue. You really dumber. No, what else we dragged up? I mean, I'm guessing her phone. Since you got the cameras, bingo, your mother's phone, underwater, 3 in Cowdle, sitting on lake bed. See how the walls are closing in? I get it, I really do, but look, I can only have your back if you're honest. Just say you fought, tell me, just a track mistake, something like that. If that's the real story, give it to me. I'm flying blind here, and I can protect you otherwise. Well, it just looks like a crime you done crime you care about. But I do care. Honestly, I'm beyond pissed. It's just, I have to follow where the physical evidence leads me. I didn't have any issues before today, I really do, but nothing went down. We didn't fight. Nothing happened at all. That's the crazy part. The day was totally fine. I don't recall a single thing going wrong. Carlos starts sweating. If they have the hardware, they definitely have the footage stored on those drives. Feeling those heat. Carlos decides to pivot and offer up a slightly different version of events. Everything's a blur. From the moment the dogs started barking until I found my mother, I blind lost it. I completely spiraled because, man, that's my mom right there. God, I just freaked out and snatched the camera that was pointed right at the front entrance. I grabbed their device up there. I knew about that one, then found the other. The new story, he claims he suffered a total blackout during the incident. Right before discovered his mother, Carlos claims he lost time, tossed the cameras and her phone into the water. What triggered that panic? I don't know, honestly. I wasn't sure if something bad had happened. Sometimes just drift off. Next thing, I'm waking up in my bedroom. I just came to in my room, heard the dogs going crazy, and thought, okay, what's going on? The doors go on. The front door was open. Stuff that didn't seem like a big deal at the time. My mom has done that stuff before, right? Aside from that, everything felt normal. Look, I'm 100% blank. What went down? What's anyone supposed to do when they find a body? Yeah, that's exactly how the whole thing played out. You call 911, man. You don't start trashing cameras and phones. No way. Why would anyone even think to do that? I done to know what I was thinking. You think a guy just tosses his tech for no reason, obviously to bury the evidence. But I just completely lost my mind, man. The stuff with my mom I showed her, but the rest is a total blur. It just happened. 1 second we re-fighting, then boom. She's getting up off the floor like, well, damn. So you re-saying you don't who did it? No, I really did. Everything from waking up to the dogs going nuts to checking the house. It's just gone from the moment I patted her. You sure you weren't fighting? No, not at all. Zero. I don't recall a single argument. Look, I get how this looks to you. I see it. Let me just try to help you out here. I know, trashing those cameras and the phone, that's been eating me alive. You realize that's not something an innocent person does, right? Yeah, I totally get that. That's what's been messing with my head for months. I don't remember. Like I said, that whole window of time is just a black hole in my brain. Nothing at all. Look, I'm the one who needs the real story here. I want the truth. Did I black out and do this? I need your help. I'm in telling you, from the gownwards, it is just a total void. Nothing. I liked Ramos's vibe, but that other detective, he was a real piece of work. Honestly, calling me a psycho with no heart. I didn't appreciate that one bit. Judging me before the facts were even in. But you guys, you did it right. I respect how you everything before making a call. Legally speaking, saying I forgot is a smart play. It keeps you from talking yourself into a cell. It kills the idea of intent in a courtroom. Juries hate a liar, but they might buy a guy who's just traumatized. Amnesia makes a defendant look more human, like they just snap. I told you, that was 2 nights before. But look, I'm trying to help you remember, because that's the only way we beat this case. Give me something, otherwise, it's just like you killed her out of pure spite. That's why I'm asking help, but I am then telling you, I'm a bling dude. I knew once you guys started digging, you'd DC my temper, but my mom and we were tight. I hoped that would matter, since I don't know what happened. Yes, so it's not like there was an else there but you, right? That's the part I'm stuck on. I'm trying to figure it out too. Thinking back, I got home, and she's just disappointed. The usual crap, then she calls me a total loser. I told her to chill. But she kept at it. She just kept at it. Despite the I forgot routine, Carlos was hit with first-degree murder and got life without parole. What's was he line his head off? Let us know in the comments.